Hello friends, welcome to Kavita's classroom. Welcome to another session of discussion of sample paper, and here we go. Today we would be discussing Indian economy. So let's begin. Indian economy begins with question number 18, and the first question is, dash of agriculture refers to production of crops for sale in the open market rather than self-consumption. So when we're talking about selling, not consuming, right? It's commercialization. Next question. 1978, commune lands were divided into small plots to the individual households for cultivation. Yes. Under commune system, professionals were sent to work and learn from the countryside. No, this is not related to commune system. This thing is related to the agriculture, right? So this is something mismatched. So this is true and this is false. So answer becomes A, the statement 1 is true and 2 is false. Next question says, identify the option that emphasize the role of information and technology. Achieving sustainable development, correct. Attainment of food security, right. Disseminates information regarding emerging technologies. So all the three are correct. Hence, the correct answer becomes D. Then we have read the following, and assertion reasoning question says, assertion is, under the land reforms, Indian government fixed the minimum land size which could be owned by an individual. Reread it. There is a glitch. Under the land reforms, Indian government fixed the minimum size. Is it minimum or maximum whenever we are talking about the land ceiling? Hence, this statement becomes false. The purpose of land ceiling was to avoid the concentration of land ownership in a few hands, and that is correct. This is true. So, the assertion is false and the reason is true. This is the correct answer. Dash are the people who operate their own firms or enterprises. So who are they? They are self-employed. They are working for themselves, right? Not for anybody else. They are not hired. They are not regularly salaried, right? They're not casual. They're working for their own selves, right? Moving ahead, the next question says, agricultural marketing is a process that involves the dash of agriculture commodities. Privatization, no, this word is picked from the first unit, right? Nothing to do here. Processing, yes, that's done. Assembling is done. Grading is done, right? So agricultural marketing means every process after the crop is ready to be harvested, right? So processing, grading, assembling, marketing, everything is there as a part of agricultural marketing. Hence, D is my correct answer. 24th question. Dash is based on the idea that education and health are integral to human well-being, right? So it means human development is being talked about. Right. Human capital considers human beings to be the source of capital only. But when we talk about human development, we are talking about the well-being of human beings as well, right? In the recent years, all the adults are encouraged to open bank accounts as a part of scheme known as Janadhan Yojana. It had been very much talked about, right? The given chart indicates the problem of dash in the Indian economy post 1992. So if we try to just enhance the size post 1990, let us check the year. 1992. So after this situation, what do we see? After this year, we see that this dark line is going down, generally so, and that is going up. It means the gap between the two is widening, right? It means this is GDP, right? GDP is going up, but employment is going down. So what does it show you? It simply is the situation of jobless growth, right? I hope the things are clear. Moving ahead, again, as told before. As in when you have any picture-based question, you would have the following question only for visually impaired people, right? I'm discussing it just for the sake of discussion, but you are not to attempt the same. The situation under which an economy attains economic growth without corresponding rise in employment is called. This is again the same, jobless growth, right? Moving ahead, the next question says, read the following carefully. It's a statement 1 and 2 question. Environmental concerns of waste generation and pollution have become critical due to reversal of demand and supply relationship. This is true. Environmental crisis happens when the rate of resource extraction is less than that of generation. No, this is more. That means the environmental crisis. So this statement is false on account of this term, this less, right? So the first statement is true and the second statement is false. Now, next question is, you have to define the liberty indicators. So, liberty indicators measure the extent of democratic participation in social and political decision making. And the second question is, state 2 liberty indicators. First is the constitutional protection given to the rights of the citizens, and second is constitutional protection of independence and of judiciary and rule of law. So this is some theoretical aspect. You have to mug it up like this only. Then you have Medhya and Danish. Both had their own farms. Medhya invested in a few agricultural courses, learned modern farming techniques, and trained her laborers on best practices related to soil fertility, crop management, and pest controls, etc. Whereas Danish invested heavily in purchasing the advanced farming machinery, irrigation system, and high quality seeds. Do you agree that Danish has made investment in human capital? Give valid reasons. When you talk about human capital, actually human capital was invested in by Medhya because she tried to improve the people, right? But Danish here has invested in the physical assets. So no, Danish has not made the investment in human capital. In fact, it is the physical capital where he has invested. So you can give the definition of the same with examples sufficient for 3 marks, right? Then or part says the expenditure on preventive medication or medicine, curative medicine, and social medicine helps in building human capital and economic development. Do you agree? Give valid reasons. Of course, yes. Because all this would keep the people healthy. And healthy people means less of absenteeism, more of productivity, more production per unit time means in less time and less input, more is supplied as output. So this would definitely be leading to the economic development and human capital. Next question is, the British introduced many infrastructural development projects which was largely driven by its own self-serving interest. You have to talk about the justification here. 2 points are asked. So we know that basically the investment done by Britishers were in the infrastructure, like they created roads, they created ports, they created railways, right? Why so? Roads were created to have a strict, tight control on the people so that there should not be any revolution. They wanted to have their law and vigilance and army very perfectly, connected and in time, real time. They can just curb any such revolution, right? So when we talk about ports, so they wanted that marinal routes should be open and effective for import and exports. That's why ports were created, right? Roads, railways. So all these road route, rail route, every route was connected so that they could have helped the uh, industrialization there in their own country, not in India. So it was the selfish motive of Britishers for the development of their own selves, their own country, not India. Right. So when we talk about the next question, in the recent times, through various schemes and policies, the government of India has taken vital initiatives to generate employment directly or indirectly? You have to give the valid arguments. Let's first understand what do you mean by the term directly and indirectly here. So we are giving the answer. Like for example, when government is opening a school, right? So for school, whomsoever government is hiring, the teachers, the principal, the helping staff, the gardener, the gatekeeper. So that is the direct employment generated by the government by opening that school. But what is the indirect employment in that case? Whatever school needs becomes the indirect employment. For example, because of that school only, there would be a demand of stationery material, there would be demand of uniform, right? We would be in need of chalks, dusters, markers, right? Benches, desks, the whitewash of the interior, or maybe some beautification by floral plants and all. So all this gives rise to the indirect demand, indirect employment opportunities in the economy. Right. Now, our question says, microcredit programs have been very helpful in supporting rural development and improving livelihoods in India. Yes. Do you agree? Support your answer. Microcredit programs are very helpful because in the interiors where there is no formal coverage of the banking system, microcredit programs are boon to them. So they just bridge up the gap of the demand and supply. Demand is there, but supply of the formal credit is not there. Why? Because people do not have anything for their mortgages, right? They do not have any other properties or documents to be given as a mortgage, right? So for this, microcredit programs are a boon to them. Okay. Moving ahead, the next question is table-based question, tabular question, which says, on the basis of the given data, compare and analyze the distribution of workforce and its contribution to GVA in India and China. So please make sure that you're not investing any time and effort in discussing Pakistan, because we are just asked to do the comparative analysis of India and China. So let's do it, and with reason you would be doing it, right? They say that contribution to GVA by agriculture, right, is 7 in China and as compared 16 in India. We would definitely give the reason that Chinese topography and environmental aspects are not conducive for the agriculture. Right. That's why the contribution to GVA by agriculture is lesser as compared to India. Right. But when you talk about the workforce here, the workforce of India is far more than of China. This simply showcases that we do have the disguised unemployment problem prevalent in the rural areas in India. Then we talk about industry. The industrial contribution is 41 in China as compared to 30, because we do not have robust structure of industries. Industries are still in developing stage in India because of lack of funds, because of lack of technology, but is way better in China. Right, because of this modernization, right? And when you talk about workforce, more directly, similar workforce is there, is serving in industrial sector. And as services are being talked about, it's the somewhat similar contribution to GVA through service sector in India as well as in China. Yeah, because services need less of investments as are required in the industrial sector, and both the countries are doing well in service sector as compared to the agriculture and industry, right? And you can give the similar answer or the justification for distribution of workforce here, majorly because this is most contributing sector. So in China's major workforce is there in service sector. Right. Why is it so? Because here we have more skilled and educated people. In China had invested majorly in HDI also. So that's more contributing. Now, Moving ahead, you must note that as and when you are doing this tabular analysis, you need to give all these figures also. You do write 16, 7, 30, 41 because CBSE simply straight away gives out of 4 simply 2 marks if you just reinstate the figures without any explanation, right? Then you go ahead for 33, A part. To promote green revolution, the Indian government provided fertilizer subsidies to the farmers. Explain any two arguments in favor. Subsidies are required. Why? Number one, Indian farmer is poor and that needs help if you want to go for betterment of the farmers, right? And then subsidies are required because we have, much of the, what do we say, inequality persisting in the economy. The farmers are very poor, and agriculture is there with them as the major source of livelihood. So we, for the welfare purpose also, we need to have the subsidies for the farming, right? Then we have, as per the report dated 8th October 2021, the Government of India sold its entire 100% stake in Air India. Tata Sons, the original founder of Air India, won the bid and purchased the airline. Identify the step taken by the Government of India. So, as Government of India has disowned, right? So it means the step here is privatization. So now the new owners, privatization. The new owners are private bodies, right? It's no more with government, right? State any two ways by which identified step can be executed. Two ways are either you outrightly sell your organization, that is 100% sale, or you sell the parts of it, right? You can sell 30% stake, 40% stake, 50, 60, 70, whatever. You must note that if the sales are more than 50%, 50% or more, it's called strategic sale. Okay? Strategic disinvestment also. Either you go for first and second part of A together, or you go for first or second part of B together. Students sometimes get confused. They do one out of A part and one out of B part, and that is a huge loss for them. Now, after 1991, reforms in external sector led to an increase in the foreign exchange inflows. How and why? Let us understand. After 1991, a major thing in this regard was devaluation, and devaluation simply made our currency cheaper for the external world. So this gave a boost to Indian exports, and India did huge exports in IT sector, in pharmaceuticals, in automotive, wherever it had been good at, right? So this led to huge exports, as well as what happened? Outsourcing was promoted, exports were promoted, and because Indian currency became cheaper, so foreign investments were very high. Direct investment and institutional investment got a boost out of this devaluation, right? Then, during the planned period, public sector was given a dominant role in Indian economy. Justify the rationale. Public sector had to take it up. There was no other option because private sector basically is money oriented, profit oriented, and there was no big size of the market for the private player. Private player did not have the required funds for the same, and all this process of development, it needed a huge gestation period. Means for this development, the private sector had to wait for its returns, which is usually not seen because they are only profit oriented. So the whole initiative fell on the shoulders of Government of India. That's why that was given a dominant role in Indian economy, right? And the last question talks about a case study based on the climate change. And let us see. Define sustainable agriculture. You would have all the questions would be very clearly here See, this says sustainable agriculture. So, very much clearly given, it refers to those farming practices that meet today's requirement while preserving resources for the future generation. 1 mark done. Sustainable agriculture practices like organic farming may seem costly initially but offer long-term benefits, right? Yes, I'm just looking for the long-term benefits I can see here, right? So we have, as it is, you may write, but they offer long-term benefits. How? By improving productivity, environmental stewardship, right? And you can just add on this left out line as well for 3 marks because it's 3 marks, so it needs some word length as well. State any two strategies to promote sustainable development in developing country like India. So if we advise to go for non-conventional resources of production like solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, hydro energy. So these are some suggestions for developing countries like India to promote sustainable development. I hope the discussion is clear to you and you got enriched. See you in the next discussion of sample papers. Till then, see ya. Bye bye.